and welcome to another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. In each episode, we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney+. On this episode, we are exploring the early days of Marvel as we take a look at Spider-Man starring Toby McGuire. And if you are enjoying these videos, we do ask that you please hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified with each new video. But for now, sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like I said, today we are covering Spider-Man. This movie was released on April 29th, 2002, and it was directed by Sam Rami. The screenplay was done by David Koepp, and the production companies were Columbia Pictures, Marvel Enterprises, and Laura Shiskin Productions. And it was distributed by Sony Pictures Releasing. The budget for this movie was $139 million, and it did a box office return of $825 million. 1, 2, 3. So this movie has a long production history, so this video is going to be a little bit longer, but the production of Spider-Man starts way back in the early 1980s, where Marvel Comics were meeting with various film studios to try and get Spider-Man onto the big screen. Producer Roger Corman was the first to hold on to the screen rights and was looking to develop the film at Orion Films. Spider-Man co-creator Stan Lee was brought in to write the screenplay, which featured Cold War themes, and the villain was going to be Dr. Octopus. The project was scrapped after concerns with the budget. Fast forward to 1985, and the rights were purchased by Menhem Golan and Yoram Golubas of the Cannon Group for $225 million. The two were not familiar with the character, thinking that he was a werewolf-type character, and Leslie Stevens from The Outer Limits was hired to write the screenplay. Stevens took a horror approach where Peter Parker was a photographer who was subject to a mad scientist experiment and then turned into a giant tarantula. Stan Lee obviously hated this approach and demanded that a new script be written. In 1985, later on, a new script was written by Ted Newsom and Joe Brancento. The story featured Peter Parker and Dr. Octopus, and Barney Cohen was brought in to add humor with additional scenes and a supporting villain. Lead actors that were considered for the role of Peter Parker in this version were John Cusack and Tom Cruise, and Bob Hoskins was considered for Dr. Octopus, and Katharine Hepburn and Lauren Bacall were considered for the role of Aunt May. The budget was originally proposed between $15 million and $20 million. However, after the failure of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, and Masters of the Universe, the budget was decreased to $7 million. Director Joseph Zito was unwilling to compromise on this and stepped away from the project. Golan attempted to revitalize the project in 1989 by selling the TV rights to Viacom, the home rights to Columbia Pictures, and the theatrical rights to Carlico Pictures. They brought in James Cameron to write and direct this film, and Cameron actually submitted a treatment in 1993, and the script was totally changed, with the villains being Electro and Sandman. Cameron would reveal that he was considering Charlie Sheen, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Edward Furlong for the role of Peter Parker. Carlico set the budget for $50 million, but progress stalled after Golan sued Carlico for attempting to make the movie without his involvement. 20th Century Fox would step up to try and untangle the mess and expressed interest in pursuing the project with Cameron. But after they were unsuccessful of getting the rights away from Carlico, Cameron, who grew impatient, would abandon the project to work on Titanic. So kind of a long history for just to get a Spider-Man film on the table here. But after Batman and Robin in 1997 came out and was a disaster at the box office, no film studio wanted to proceed with a Spider-Man film. However, after Blade and X-Men were so successful, studios again started looking at superhero films to add to their roster of films. Marvel Studios would sell the rights to Spider-Man to Sony Pictures for $7 million in 1999. The studio had a long list of directors in mind, and people that were considered included Tim Burton, Tony Scott, Chris Columbus, Barry Sonnenfeld, Michael Bay, and M. Night Shyamalan. It was announced, though, in January of 2000 that Sam Rami would be the director for a summer 2001 release date. Danny Elfman was hired to compose the score for the film, and John Dykstra was hired to do the visual effects. So now that we got the momentum going, let's take a look at some potential cast members. So this Sony Studios submitted a list of potential actors for the role of Peter Parker, and this included Leonardo DiCaprio, Freddie Prinze Jr., Chris O'Donnell, Jude Law, Chris Klein, Ewan McGregor, Wes Bentley, and Heath Ledger. Raimi would cast Toby McGuire after seeing his performance in The Cider House Rules. McGuire would end up hiring a physical trainer, a yoga instructor, and a martial arts expert, and a climbing expert to help him prepare for the role. Other actors considered for the role of Norman Osborn included Nicolas Cage, Jason Isaacs, and John Malkovich. Other actors considered for Mary Jane Watson included Kate Bosworth, Elizabeth Banks, Kate Hudson, Eliza Dushku, Mina Sarvari, and Jamie King. Originally, Hugh Jackman was going to make a cameo appearance as Wolverine, but the filmmakers could not get the original Wolverine costume, so they decided to scrap it. So let's take a look at the cast that we did get. So we have Tobey Maguire, who was Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. We have William Dafoe, who is the Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin. Kristen Dunst, who plays Mary Jane Watson. James Franco, who is James Franco as Harry Osborn. Cliff Robertson is Ben Parker. Rosemary Harris is May Parker. And just to finish out the cast, we have J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. The film also features numerous cameos, including Olivia Spencer, Lucy Lawless, Bruce Campbell, Elizabeth Banks, and the Macho Man, Randy Savage. So in terms of the plot, during a school field trip to Columbia University, Peter Parker, a shy, nerdy, high school outcast, has been bitten by a genetically enhanced spider. Peter discovers that the spider has granted him superhuman abilities of a spider, and he puts the powers to good use after witnessing his uncle get killed. Peter becomes the masked vigilante known as Spider-Man, and he becomes the city's protector. However, Peter's life gets more complicated when he faces his arch enemy, the Green Goblin, who begins to terrorize the city he has sworn to protect. But his love for Mary Jane will ultimately get in the way of the Goblin's murderous goals. So this film had a complicated marketing strategy as well. So the original teaser poster shows Spider-Man headed with a New York skyline. However, these posters were recalled after the September 11th terrorist attacks, with the poster as the posters featured the Twin Towers. A teaser trailer was included with screenings of Jurassic Park 3, American Pie 2, Rush Hour 2, Final Fantasy, and the rebooted Planet of the Apes. New posters would be released in November of 2001, and they would feature both the Green Goblin and Spider-Man. Sony would partner with CKE restaurants, and this included kids' meals toys at Hardee's and Carl's Jr. In addition, customers could purchase collectible Spider-Man cups and a Spider-Man figure to attach to their car radio antenna. In the United Kingdom, KFC would feature kid meal toys with in their restaurants. And other promotional deals were made with Reebok, Kellogg's, Hershey, and Dr. Pepper. This film would be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects and Best Sound. And because the film was so successful, a CGI animated series called Spider-Man: The New Animated Adventures would run from July to September of 2023, and it was designed to follow the events of the film. As well as a video game was developed by Treyarch and was published by Activision, and this was released in 2002 for the Game Boy Advance, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Nintendo GameCube. And these characters would live on as William Dafoe and Tobey Maguire would reprise their roles in the Spider-Man film Spider-Man: No Way Home in 2021, yeah. So would I recommend this movie? I think this is let's try that again. I think this movie is amazing and a great way to introduce the characters to a general audience. I think the story is well paced, and each of the characters are given moments to show the audience of who they are. I think the performances from William Dafoe and Toby McGuire are excellent. I also like how this movie is a self-contained movie, but it also acts like a chapter for the next two Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. So I think this is kind of the real start of the comic book movies becoming blockbuster franchise films. Like you had earlier success with Blade and X-Men, but this kind of took it to a new level. Overall, definitely recommend this movie, especially if you're new to Spider-Man, as it is a great introduction. So thank you so much for joining us here on Disney Movie Investigation. I would love anyone to please leave a comment below on what they thought of the movie Spider-Man. And as we look forward to our next episode, we're going to be looking at a different franchise as we take a look into the world of Star Wars, as we take a look at Star Wars Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.